Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here with Bradley Killinger at Sapience. Hey, Bradley, how's it going?
Hi, Andy.
Great to have you here. Tell me a little bit about Sapience.
Hi, Andy. Thanks, first of all, for having us here today. Appreciate it. And Sapience Analytics, we are a market leader in a rapidly expanding segment called workforce analytics. And so as we get into this, Sapience has a rather I'll call it ingenious solution, which helps companies tackle a lot of the challenges that they have today, whether that's retaining top employees, whether it's figuring out work from home, hybrid, come back to office, all the way to really helping them understand how to more effectively manage their contingent workforce and some of their big third party spend. We kind of touch a lot of different areas, but it's a really exciting area, which is all underpinned with really if you think of Sapience, I think of us as truly a big data and analytics company. Yeah, and so our ability to process and transact and produce really interesting and meaningful insights to our customer base, where they can take advantage of those and really create competitive advantage in the marketplace is what we're doing every day right now.
Sounds really interesting. Sounds like there's a ton of meat on that bone. So let's pull at it a little bit here. So workforce analytics, help me understand what that is and how, as business leader, that would help me with my business, for example.
Absolutely. So think of your organization as a living, breathing entity that's literally changing on a minute to minute, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly type basis. And so what Sapience can do is we can extract data that you're generating, not data that we're making up, but what is happening, how is work getting done, where is work getting done, by whom, and you really help companies to identify a whole array of different value propositions inside of these data points. So the most simple way that I would think of it is inside of our solution. So we have a handful of I'd say really key components. Number one, we have a little non-intrusive data collector that collects only work information. So i.e. is somebody working on a case, or they developing a line of code, or they answering a call. So silently in the background, think of it as a large time and motion study, but happening in the four corners of your enterprise. We're then ingesting that data, and inside of that, so we do twofold: the data we collect, and then some customers ask us to ingest or integrate some other data sets they have. And then we have a whole back-end reporting engine, which then turns that into real actionable insights. So a lot of the challenges that we have customers that are we're delivering for today. One example is since the pandemic began, many companies, 30% of their workforce are contingent. A lot of them are time and material, 8,000 miles away in the Philippines or India. So that's just as critical to a major enterprise as a direct employee. How do you get better visibility to understand what are the work patterns? Who are the top performers out of that? Are you paying what you should be paying? So i.e. is there a direct correlation between work time and the invoice, so you can understand when to press on a supplier, when to maybe give them relief because they're working too hard. Here in the U.S., we're doing a lot of stuff on the direct workforce side right now. Employer talent retention has been critical. Understanding employee burnout before they get there, being able to understand where you may have broken processes in your business. And so you have hidden capacity inside of your enterprise that you can reroute work to, hence, alleviating different parts of the bubble, so on and so forth, all the way down to, a lot of companies are, even using us to understand, are they making the right, technology investments around, enterprise software? Are they oversubscribed in areas and undersubscribed, and so on and so forth? And so if you think of Sapience, it's a very fascinating company because in a non-intrusive way, we don't collect any PII. We have no interest in understanding how many times somebody goes to Facebook or goes to Wells Fargo to pay a bill or does any personal things. What we are doing is mapping that system and really looking at core work activities. How much are people spending, when they are, how effective are they, how much output is being produced, kind of so on and so forth. But if you think of the power of having a, kind of a little IoT collector that's taking snapshots in 15-second increments, and then really being able to use that to your advantage, that's the transformation that, our customers are going through. And quite candidly, we probably don't have enough time on this call, to even touch on how many different use cases. So across our, global enterprise customer base, we have at least 150 different use cases or ways of value that customers are getting. The reality is, this data, it used to be if you wanted to understand a specific department or you had a hunch in a different area, what would you do? You would hire a zillion consultants. By the time they handed you, the reports, it's probably already invalid. It might give you a good sense. We can do this automated, no human intervention, 100% in the background. So it's a really cool solution. It's quite transformative. And, I believe that, 5 to 10 years from now, the world's going to look back and say, how did I run a company without having been subsidized by the power of, the data and insights that a company like Sapience can provide? And my most practical example that most of your people would probably relate to is, I remember 12 years ago, I love watching football, never liked playing it, but I remember watching a big playoff football game, and the commentator made a comment and says, it was Bill Belichick, so the team you either love or hate.
Right.
And they said, all of Bill Belichick's experiences led him to make the right call on 4th and 1. Fast forward to today, there's not a professional sports team in the world that is relying upon gut feel or instinct. That plays a factor, and it always will. Human beings are good leaders, are in positions because they ultimately can override or make those calls. But you can't name me a professional team that is not using advanced data and insights in every second, every situation of the game to say, hey, can I use this data to create competitive advantage, to make sure that I call the right play, that we're doing the right things, and so on and so forth. And so I very much view Sapience as evolving, or using that sports analogy, that in the corporate world, we are going to get, we are rapidly moving away from a world of gut instinct, a manager feeling good about his or her team because they can look down the hallway and see lots of busy people in cubicles, and this sort of data is just going to be a requirement for enterprises of the future, and we happen to be at the forefront doing this, and we've been really fortunate to be able to share this journey with a lot of great companies that are thinking in the same way as us.
It's really interesting, and I like the analogy there that you made with sports analytics. It sounds like at the end of the day, it's really about workforce optimization as the output of, being able to utilize those insights and optimize your workforce. And, whether it's, gaining new insights about the efficacy of your team, where they might need help and support to do their job even better. So getting those insights, I could see, can be really transformative for a business.
Well, it is, and the other part, which is really cool, is so we're investing real heavily right now in the AI and predictive analytics, and so that's another really big area. I know today in our system, not only can we kind of, we give a lot of leaders, organizational stats from last week, but they can click a button and see what is projected for the next week, next month. And so, I see a lot of practical value in really helping customers to understand, how can they better manage seasonal capacity or, volumes based upon historical trending data. So that's something where, we're continue to evolve. The cool thing, we're a SaaS platform. So, a lot of kind of the AI and algorithms that might be constrained when you're trying to do on-prem software because of infrastructure needs, we have that. So we've been having a lot of fun kind of dreaming, how can we not just help customers in the here and now, but really helping to be a world-class planning tool for them, whether, that's from procurement to operations heads to call centers. So it's a cool area, and there's a lot we can do with this data.
Yeah, I can see many use cases. People are always wondering whether you're a sales team and how effective is my sales team,
Yeah.
to how effective is my customer support team when I've got, 5, 50, or 100 plus customer support reps doing their job. So tell me a little bit about your customers and some of the challenges that they've had prior to coming to Sapience, and how you help them solve those challenges.
Yeah. So, the one of the most common ones that we kind of where we start, and so we have a great, story of how we've been able to expand across a lot of large enterprises. But, often one of the first start points for us is around the contingent workforce. And so, look, our largest customer in the world has this on over 100,000 active seats, which is a mix. When you think about, just what it's meant over the last, 2 to 3 years of, not just being at home, but 8,000 miles away, and a lot of, the, stuff that enterprises tried to do to understand how to manage, highly geographically dispersed, workforces.
Sure.
I think we fill in a lot of those gaps. And so, a lot will start, whether there's a contract renegotiation. So they might have a supplier that has, thousands of contractors where they want to get those contracts renewed. Maybe, you have the enterprise that's saying, hey, we really like them. We want to validate that, we're getting good value for our money. We help them think through that a lot. We've had, a number of customers around, work location. I mean, my personal belief, I know I was in New York last week, met with a number of senior execs, and it's kind of like, holy cow, this, forcing everybody back to an office or the way it was in 2019 is proving to be a lot bigger challenge than what they think. So, if the idea is that the nature of how we do work has changed forever, we know that we provide a really important factual data-driven layer that I think can get people a lot more comfortable with making some of those choices and understanding that. We've had, all the way down to, customers that, are struggling in a business unit, and they need to try to figure out some ways that they can drive, more efficiency, more productivity into their operation. The sales use case is always an interesting one for me, but, I kind of look at the rest of the world as caught up to sales, because in many instances, life before the pandemic, it was always just, a lot of times the sales reps all, kind of worked from home, traveled, and other people said, well, what do they do all day? Are they busy? Are they not? How do you understand that value proposition? I think that's extended a lot more. And then, a lot of companies are using us as they're trying to embrace, I'd say, this new world, because, one of the things that's changing here is it's also the worker. I mean, more and more we're seeing it. We drink our own champagne, but employees are demanding flexibility. They, the idea of, I know for myself, I started working 26, 27 years ago. It was just, what did you do? Work meant you went to an office, kind of, we lived a certain way. You worked from 8 till 6, and we're proving every day today, we are quite accommodative with, some of our staff that, even traditional work days in terms of hours. I mean, people are the younger generation. They might want to work, 8 till 12, and they might want to go, rock climbing and, something else from 12 to 2, and then come back and work 2 to 5 and 7 till 9. And, I realize in some jobs that, I might need my finance people to be here when the, other teams are available at more traditional hours, but there's also many roles in an organization, creative roles, development, marketing roles that maybe I don't really care if they work, some traditional schedule. What I really care about is, we have are they willing to, are they getting their work done? Are they, putting in the hours? And, if that helps us to, have better retention and keep our talent by being able to do that, offer, remote working, more flexible options, then, so be it. And I know that we have an enabling platform that allows that to happen.
That's great. And so, who is your customer in the organization? Are they C-level execs? Are they procurement people? Is it HR? Who's typically your? I'm sure you have many buyer personas. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, usually it's a line of business head or a chief operating officer, with a strong assist from like HR and procurement. And so, usually there's a great balance between, the P&L owner may have some objectives, and, HR is usually, ends up being a great friend for us, but is there to kind of say, okay, we've got to balance culture and make sure this, isn't surveillance software or things like that. Procurement, tends to really align and get close with us, especially from what we're able to do to help them have more transparent and supplier relationships with, specifically, contingent workforce and some, the software asset metering. And so those are typically, our buyers in an organization.
That's great. And people love origin stories of companies. It sounds like you've experienced a lot of growth in the past 5 years. Tell me a little bit about how do you come across this? How did you start? What was the jumping off point, and how did you grow the business?
Yeah, so it was so this company started was it 2011 over in India. And so there was a handful of founders. They had a wonderful idea, and it was really around helping some of the large BPOs over in India just to understand a basic question: where does time go? So It was, never in our product was this designed to be, surveillance or spyware. We don't keystroke or screen scrape or do any of that interesting stuff. It was really around a genuine intellectual interest, which was, hey, you've got these centers with thousands, tens of thousands of people in many cases. I went to work today. I think I'm productive. The challenge I'll give anyone when I talk to them is, if today, can you tell me with any degree of accuracy what happened yesterday? And most people, the answer is no. And so where was the time going? How do employees get more time back? And so, the company was, had some early success stories. I ran into the company in 2016, and instantly I was drawn to this. I have a background that was, both based in big enterprise software, but also large scale, outsourcing and services business. And this was like the holy grail. The question, I mean, is the team there? How can we, put a bid out more effectively? I got to, I was always living in between, more on the sales and marketing side, where, I was getting hammered by clients on one side saying, it can't be right. It takes you 20% more people than what I used to do this for. But on the other side, our delivery operations would say, I don't have a minute to spare. We're sold out, and go away. And so when I first, it took me probably 15 minutes of talking with that founder group that a big light bulb went on. I said, we have to do this. And so in 2016 to 17, orchestrated it was a very small company. So, kind of a simple or M&A. We closed that in 17 and then said, okay, now we have this. And so I brought the headquarters over to the US. We've never given up. We have our R&D center over in Pune, India. And so that's very important for us and a lot of the innovation what we're doing. And so we were able to good old fashioned got some network, brought this idea. One of our for our very first big anchor client here in the US was Fortune 100 company. They deployed us out onto 5,000 seats. We've had an incredible relationship with them over time. They instantly kind of saw the vision and view and power of what I saw. By the way, in 2018, made a decision that we loved the IP that was originally developed, but we felt like in order to really see the vision of where we thought we could take this, we scrapped the whole that IP and started a whole build of a next generation platform. We knew that we needed SaaS based. We wanted a little more interesting user experience and user interface and integration and ability to really be able to do custom reporting and all kinds of different stuff. And so we started that build. We launched our flagship, our View platform, by the way, April 1st of 20. So whereas we had an actual real launch and ready to go, we were kind of a little overshadowed as this thing called coronavirus shut the world down. But we launched it. That's been a great success so far, and so that's kind of been our evolution behind this.
Great way to use the time during the pandemic, that's for sure. And I've been part of large scale replatforming projects as well, and I know the complexities that go with that. So build on a core platform that you can create modules on top of and output different reports and all of that it's really exciting to level up your whole platform like that. Tell me a little bit about how the company generates revenue.
So we have a subscription base. So we charge on a per seat per year. Mm-hmm. So it's a very simple model. Nothing else. That's all inclusive for it. So it's a true subscription based revenue model.
And I noticed on your website that you've sharpened messages and clarified your offers. What have you seen and experienced in the market that has led you to make these adaptations?
So always the risk is I think in our first few years of really trying to get this into the market, it sounds great to go through all these different use cases, but it's a really difficult way to sell. You can't give them the cheesecake menu every time. Right. And so, a lot of what we've done is said, okay, where is 95% of our, business coming from, interest in this platform? And it's really simple. I mean, number one was around the contingent workforce, which we've talked about. The second big area for us is, continues around kind of the enterprise workforce side. And so those are our, kind of two primary offerings. So when we engage with, new prospects, with, industry analysts, et cetera, we tend to, try to talk around those two solution sets specifically, and they're each a bit different. I mean, on the contingent workforce side, that is, more of a, build a different smart procurement type relationship with key strategic suppliers. On the, enterprise workforce side, that tends to be much more, around, employee engagement, workforce optimization, capacity management, things like that.
So it sounds like you spent a lot of time identifying who your buyer personas are, what their workflow is, and some of their challenges, and then build solutions around that. Yeah. And evolve to that kind of a selling approach, and also I imagine an onboarding approach as well.
Oh, onboarding that's one of the things I'm most proud of. I mean, we can stand a customer up in 2 weeks within the first way. So within the first 4 weeks, they're getting meaningful insights and data. So, and it's really about, just tweaking our solution. And most of what, when I say tweaking, it's sitting down and really mapping applications and, work time and just some of the nuances, but the system we've built, it is so modern and so new. It's awesome. We can bring a customer on very quickly. I mean, so we're so confident in it. There is no upfront consulting. There's no big bang project to, get Sapience up and going, that we don't even charge for it. We
That's
just
great.
all inclusive inside of the subscription.
And so what does that onboarding process look like? Are they installing Sapience on everybody's computer? And is there a configuration that happens, or is it just automatically adapts to the workflow?
Because it's a really little lightweight IoT collector. That is it's deployed out onto devices, or if on the contingent workforce side, a lot it's the virtual server that they're coming in through.
It's great.
But it's very easy.
Very cool. Well, this all sounds very exciting. It sounds like you guys are on a roll to grow pretty quickly here. If you were to forecast out a year from now, what would be something that you'd want to be celebrating?
Oh boy. What would I like to be celebrating? I would like, if I could wish for anything, we would surpass the 1 million seats. So right now as a business, we're a little above 300,000 active seats. But I the challenge I put out under our company and our team is, I believe there's plenty of demand out there. There's certainly a huge ROI for using this platform. It's really that we would have been able to really start that scale journey, and that's, so I'd say we could celebrate the 1 million happy user on our platform.
I love it. I love the big goal like that.
Yeah.
How can people find you? What's the what's the URL, and what would be their path to find you? So when somebody's listening to this, they can know. Please visit us www.sapienceanalytics.com, and go out. We have about a zillion different calls to action out there. So if you don't find us, we'll find you most likely. Wonderful. That sounds great. Well, Bradley, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate the time, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Wish you all the best. Great.